we were talking about just during the break was how do you find your passion?
Oh.
I think it's right behind you.
Yeah, I know. Are you asking me that question?
No, but
yes.
Was I looking at you?
Yeah,
Did I have a lazy eye? It went like left.
Well, yeah, you were looking at the,
Nadia and I want to know.
Where do I find my passion?
Yes, I think you would have some good insight.
I think that's I don't know. I think you might be using the wrong words. I mean.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay.
No, we're using the wrong words.
I promise to answer your question, but where do you find your passion?
Mine.
Yeah.
Not
can you
where,
answer
like,
the question? Can you give me an
how?
example answer to your question so that I can understand what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Right. Really. That was. Thank you, Andrew. For brutalizing that. It was kind of like a summary.
It's hard. Those words. It's hard to ask the right question because it's a very complex idea.
Well, exactly. I want to answer your question correctly.
Right. So let's let Rachel.
Well, the idea is just kind of the journey. Like, what has the journey been like, and how have you been consciously a part of that, which growing up helps you find the things you really enjoy and how you kind of make that the main part of your life and the thing that drives you and maybe even provides for you and all of that. And that it feels good, Maybe you have a full-time job still, but you have this thing that, gives you joy and whatever.
Sure.
And the journey to finding that. Because I think, especially for younger people, you feel kind of like, how does that happen for people?
For me, I've never had a choice. That's how I always felt. Like I was just always going to be doing this.
Doing what?
Like art.
Just creating.
I had and that's just what happens. That's what comes from me. And there were times that I might have turned it off, but that didn't last long, and I sort of knew that it was just sort of faking it. So that's really what it was, and that's what's dictated it. It's as simple as that.
But you always knew what it was.
Okay, maybe he wasn't a good person for the question.
It's great.
No, because it is great. But he's one of those who knew what he wanted to be when he grew up.
Right, but that gives the relativity of it, right? Because
it gives some perspective on something.
It gives the perspective of that, yeah.
Sure, but you waver back and forth. It's not like I always wanted to be some sort of artist or something even creative.
Right, and right now it would be more like, how did you get to the point where you are, making a podcast or,
Well, that's kind of...
Have 8 murals on Cherry Street.
Right, exactly. You just were doing it.
No.
Yeah, but I mean, you look back and you can connect all of those dots in some sort of tedious way. I would say it's probably mostly just dedication and knowing what you want and what you want to do. You know, and that goes with anything.
And you're lucky you sort of had that vision already.
And determination. Mm-hmm. Some people do that based on ego. And I've seen that a lot in music stuff because there's no reward anymore. But there used to be some reward where, if you were, a big rock star, you get the world handed to you. And it's sort of bratty, And I think artists might be a little bit more realistic because they have much smaller audiences and everything. Ego still works and lives very well in those worlds and everything, but I think you'll live longer if you don't base it on just that.
Yeah.
If you give it back somehow.